My last video, I said that last time, but I got this in my head when I was talking about the parasites. So, um, when women say they like thugs and they like roughnecks and they like street dudes and bad boys, it's kind of like it's kind of like being addicted to drugs and alcohol. Um, if you ever see people out here who are crackheads and wet heads and they crackheads and they wet heads or the alcoholics, you see that you see them before they start transforming into who they are now. You know, you can see a crackhead who look normal, and then eventually 3 years or 4 years down the line, they look like they're older, their face is distorted, they look messed up. When people are addicted to drugs, they can't let it go. They can't do anything else but focus on that drug. So their quality of life start to go down. They don't have a lot of skills like that. They don't have many different things that they can do. You got people who are addicted to drugs. They're functional drug addicts, but most of the time they're still drug addicts, and usually drugs get them in trouble. So you asking, why am I talking about drug addicts, right? You know, drug addicts, we know what they do. You seen in the news, in the media, of people who died of overdose. What was his name? What? Mike Miller, Mac Miller. He died of a overdose. You seen Demi Lovato, overdose on some drugs. I don't think she's dead, but let me see. Let me see if she's still alive. Demi Lovato. Okay, yeah, she's still alive. Uh, so yeah, and it came to my thought. I was like, wait, you know, the love of thugs, the love of the women loves of thugs and bad boys and players is the same as as an as an addiction to drugs and alcohol. And what I mean by that is that Demi Lovato was what? Let me check. She was sober for like, I don't know how long, but let me. I'm trying to find it because I'm trying to be more accurate with this. Let's see. Here we go. So Demi Lovato was she didn't use any drugs in 6 years, but she relapsed, and then she was rushed to the hospital this year. 6 years, and then she, relapsed. So that tells me that drugs, alcohol, any types of substance, when someone uses this stuff, and this is my speculation sometimes because I never been on no drugs and I never been on no alcohol, but what I seen people who was hooked on that crap, but I never really stood around them long enough to like see their changes. Because once you do that around me, I'm disconnected with you. Because you can pretty much damage. You can pretty much, it can spill into over to my life. So but this is what I say right now with the drugs and alcohol, right? Because I'm trying to find that right now. Some of these people out here, you know, it takes them like what, over, I don't know, per year, but I don't know how long it takes them to become addicted to the drug. Some drugs are stronger than others. Um, Let me check it out. Meth addiction. Okay. Uh, I'm trying to use meth as a talking point because sometimes, I mean, I don't know, because it's different drugs for different, they have different side effects, but it's still gonna bring to my point about the women's addiction to bad boys and stuff like that. Um, yeah, here we go. Faces of death and statistics. So we got all these people right here who, you see them when they on meth, and you see them what they used to look like, and this come into play with women, right? When they first started dating bad boys and whatever and everything else, they start talking to bad boys and they loving it as an arrest, as a thorough. They look clean and new. They look regular, average looking females. You never know with these women, but over the time period, they start deteriorating mentally and physically. You can tell by how they are now that they've been through a whole lot. I mean, they're fun in their period of times, they don't never learn, but they get high from these thugs and players for being with them and having sex with them, a high level sex, but then in the end, the high goes down. And what's left after is a damaged person. It's not as dramatic as the meth looking phase when you got a female who was on meth. It takes her like what, 3 years, like at least what, let's see, it takes her like 3 years, 3 years. Well, this guy faces what is it? Faces of meth. It took him for a full transformation. It took him what, 5 years to have spots on his face and all that. With these women, you can see pictures of these women who deal with the thugs and the players and all that other stuff. You can see the deterioration in their faces and their wear and tear on them. You can see in porn stars, it was a porn star. Her name is Aliha D. You can see her channel, and you can go on her channel and see that she said it herself. And one of her, I forgot what it is. Find the video. I forgot what the video is here. She pretty much said that she didn't want to be in porn no more because it took away her connection. It took away her ability to connect with somebody. Sex was to her. She didn't want it to be a job anymore. She wanted to be more intimate. And I commend her, and I give her a lot of credit of her basically, trying to unplug from that world, because usually when you have meaningless, shallow sex, eventually you start going wear and tear. And these women who are addicted to thugs and players and the rush in the field, eventually they come down from that high and they look different than they looked. The results. The kids that comes in play where they have with the kids. They come with the kids. They don't look good. They don't look as good as they used to look. And they emotionally damaged, they physically damaged. A lot of things come with them. A lot of different things come with them. So, in turn, their addiction really changed them in many different ways. Their addiction to thugs and players. But the fact is that you see the level of intelligence of every woman, and they don't understand the results of dealing with these players and thugs, being addicted to these players and thugs, and it's gonna hurt them in the end. Just like many people do drugs, they see how their peers died from drugs and alcohol abuse and all this other stuff, and then they still try alcohol and drugs and die from it because they think that the mindset of these women who date these players and the thugs, and their addiction, they're super addicted to these guys. They think that they are going to beat this addiction. They think that they are able to control this addiction, that make this addiction work in their favor, and they always lose. When you take drugs and you say you can, you can beat it, you can use the drugs, and the drugs is not going to use you, but eventually you see that the drugs are a lot more powerful than you are. And these thugs and these players got more of a hold onto these women than they want to tell all the men, because it doesn't matter if you dated some players, some thugs, and you had dudes run train on you, and you did all this other crazy shit with them, and they had sex with you in backyards and alleyways and all that other stuff. 9 times out of 10, you still have those memories. You still are that girl who had sex with these men because it was a rush to you. You are the thugs. You are their women. If you mess with them more than, to me, if you mess with them more than 3 years where you can't correct your life and they did damage to you as a woman, physically, mentally, and all that other stuff, then you are now their women, and nothing and no man who you gonna try to marry in the future is never gonna change you. It's just like a drug. It's just like a drug habit or alcohol habit. You can be sober from the thugs and the playboys for like the players. You can be sober from them for like 6 years, 5 years, 7 years, 17 years, 20 years. But it takes that one guy to remember what you used to be like, and then you're gonna jump on them and cheat on them. That's why these women, they have an impulse. They have an impulse control. They have no discipline, sexual discipline. So they get married to somebody that, they think that it's going to fix their life. But it takes one little, trigger. Maybe the guy's face. Maybe the guy has tattoos. Maybe he has a built body. Maybe there's rumors that he is packing. And she just cheats on her husband. A husband that did everything for her. So I said this right now, and you need to learn, and I think more and more people are learning, that any female who openly say that they date thugs and they like bad boys and they like them, stay the hell away from them. They are addicted to these type of men. That means they'll never let these men go. They will lose their lives over these men. They will risk it all for these men. And pretty much all of these women who talk about their degrees and talk about how 6-figure checks and stuff, they're functional addicts. Because everybody know that a functional addict can run a city. We had, not us, not the city I'm in, but there was a mayor, I think, in New York who was an addict. So there are functional addicts who will try to pretend like they don't like the thugs, they don't like the players, they don't like the bad boys, but on the side, they're in a hotel room or they in a bathroom getting pounded on by this type of dude. So just know that watch your back, open your ears, open your eyes, and know that these women, their addiction to these men is embedded into them. It's imprinted into them. They can't get rid of it. No matter how many times you think they are going to give you, no matter how much you think that they changed, it takes one slip up. Just like a drug addiction, it takes one slip and they're gonna go overdose on the floor with some thug or some player or some bad boy. So recognize their addiction to the bad boys as, even categorize it as a substance addiction. It's the same thing. It's no distinction from that. Physical deterioration happens when they mess with these guys, but they don't see it. The stress levels, the financial hardship sometimes affect them most of the time. The physical aspects when they have these guys kids, and the mental aspect. They come with this entitlement and thinking that everybody this and that. But hey, man, the addiction to these type of guys, and you see the women, just know that, if you ever get involved with one of these girls, you better have a short leash on her, and you better not bring her in any place that remind her of her old life, because if you do, you're gonna lose your girl. You're gonna lose your wife, or not even lose her, but you're gonna be sharing her with some guy, and then that's gonna be a bad thing, because she might come back to you with disease. I know a guy who he married a church girl. Everybody told him to marry a church girl, but hey, she used to have an addiction to bad boys and players and bad boys. So 3 years down the line, he didn't know what happened. He went to the clinic and he was HIV positive. He didn't know what the hell was going on, but he found out that his wife was sleeping with like 3 or 4 of the guys in the church who used to be street dudes, and these same guys was messing with, 2 of the guys was messing with a actual guy who gave them it. So basically these 2 guys was bisexual. They had sex with her. She probably knew, and gave him an STD. I mean, not STD. She gave him HIV and didn't tell him because she knew about it. And long story short, he's in prison right now. Yeah, he's in prison for the rest of his life now. But yeah, that's the worst case scenario for a lot of guys out here. But the fact is that once they get addicted to these guys, and they scream it out and they try to make excuses for their addiction to these guys, it's just kind of like how it's the same thing how drug addicts be like, oh, I just need a little drink right here and there. Oh, I need a little hit right here. It's not gonna be that bad. And then you see them on their floor, convulsion and overdosing. It's the same thing, man. So watch out for these women who are addicted to the thugs, the players, and the bad boys, because it's gonna be into it's a part of their life now. It's embedded into them. They can't change. They won't change. They can't change because the window for them to not be addicted to these bad boys was closed. Once you start messing with these bad boys for a long period of time, you are addicted to them, and you can't change. Just like any of these people who are on drugs, they can't change at all. They can't. They can get off the drugs. They can walk away from it, but they gotta put all these things. They gotta put all these defenses up. They gotta get off rehab, not hang around the same people, and um they have to have some type of discipline, and they gotta do all this stuff just to be normal again. And do you really want to be a female's rehab center? Do you really want to be a female's cool down man and clean up man? For her to not to be on from the for her not to be getting high off these type of dudes? Do you really want to do all that work? Because if you ever see the work and you ever see, movies and pictures of people who used to be on drugs, and the first time, them getting off of drugs and them trying to fight you and them sweating and their bodies going through different changes to them, getting off the drugs. It's the equivalent of that, because at some point you're going to have to deal with her, let me find the word. Her, oh, damn, I can't find it. Basically, you're gonna have to deal with her after effects. When you come off drugs, you start having, uh, I'm trying to find an exact word so I can end this video, but pretty much you're gonna have you come down hard from drugs, depending on the drugs, and women's come down from thugs is, it's a lot of shit that comes with them when after they finish with the thugs. High expectations, entitlement, selfishness, all types of stuff, and you have to go through that just to get them normal again of what they were before. And then you got to keep them on that straight and narrow path, and that's kind of way too much for you to be handled, especially if you did everything good. So don't deal with females who are addicted, who have an addiction to the thugs and the players and the bad boys, because it's a lot more work. It's a lot more work to deal with them than someone who just dealt with a few bad boys and the thugs, and they're not addicted to them, but they dated many other types of men. But that's about it. Because if this video might be too long, or it might go on for way too long. Yeah. Here we go. You basically gonna be this female's therapy of her getting clean from the thugs, and ask anybody who work in a rehab center and what somebody looks like when they trying to come down off of drugs. Ask them. You can compare that to getting a female off of the bad boys and the thugs and the players.